Thank you very much for staying with us on this special broadcast celebrating India celebrating its 75th Republic Day parade. We have seen vibrant India's democracy, its military might, its heritage, its legacy in tandem with this year's theme Developed India and India's Mother of Democracy on perfect, magnificent, spectacular display on the Kartavya Path. The Republic Day parade just concluded a while back, but celebrations across the country continue. And to take this conversation forward, we continue to have with us Dr. Swasti Rao on the show, Associate Fellow, IDSA, Francois Gauthier, French journalist who has covered India for many, many decades, and he's been the South Asia correspondent for leading French dailies, and also welcoming Lieutenant General Lieutenant General Madhuri Kanitkar on the show. Such a pleasure, ma'am, having you on the show. She's the former Deputy Chief of the Integrated Defence Staff, first in the Army and third in the Forces, and also a first 3-star rank officer. And today, it's absolutely befitting and honor for us to have you, ma'am, on the show. The reasons are absolutely known, because the way this whole team has been so women-centric, and in every display, from military to culture to tableaus to everything, to music, to everything there in this year's Republic Day parade at Kartavya Path, women's presence was loud, clear. They're writing on the wall that they have already arrived. Indian women have arrived. Madhuri, ma'am.
Yes, absolutely. Sakal, it's a pleasure to meet you again on this show. And thank you for inviting me.
Pleasure is mine as well and ours as well. Thank you so much, ma'am. Go ahead. We can hear you, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think it was a real heartwarming parade, and it was so wonderful. I love the combination of mother of democracy. Look at the choice of words. It was mother of democracy and Viksit Bharat. And like you correctly summed it up, the women were there and announcing from rooftop loud and clear, we are here to stay, we have arrived, and it's absolutely befitting that we've represented this in every form, whether it's in the parade, whether it's the daredevils, on the bikes, whether it was on your floats. It was amazing. Once, it was a real moment of swelling with pride, having been in uniform, been there, done that. But to see them racing ahead was a real treat today.
Ma'am, before I go to others, we were talking about the elements that set this year's Republic Day celebration or parade, for that matter, different and apart from the previous years. Your thoughts on it? What made it very different and historic and unprecedented this time around?
I think this combination of a twin theme, the mother of democracy and Viksit Bharat, and weaving it beautifully with absolutely putting women in leadership roles. They were leading contingents. They were showing that they have arrived not just to be followers, but arrived as leaders. And this was a message, I think, that the parade gave loud and clear to the world, that not only have the women arrived, but the nation has arrived.
Okay.
And we expect it to grow at a rapid pace, hand in hand, both women and men alike. Or look at the cultural show, putting up a unity in diversity. I mean, in every way, subtly, the ethos, the culture, the capabilities of the Indian, as a nation, and women in particular, were showcased very elegantly and very proudly.
I couldn't help but notice your tricolor scarf and the rank, the badges that you're so proudly wearing. Ms. Kanitkar, let's continue this conversation, and I would just quickly go to Francois also. How do you look at the larger messaging this time, especially French president being the chief guest, and we had the participation from the French contingent also. Your assessment of the relationship and what has this done to further consolidate India-France ties, considering the rapport between the two leaders? Francois.
Yeah, it's exceptionally and astonishingly warm, the personal relationship between Prime Minister Modi and French President Mr. Macron. I'm myself surprised. I know that Mr. Macron comes to India, of course, to sell, to forward French interest and sell the airplanes, the Airbus and the Rafale and the submarines and nuclear plants. But at the same time, there has been between France and India a long relationship. At some point, it looked like the entire India would have become French rather than British. But of course, King Louis XV recalled Dupleix, who was the main architect of French military prowess in India. But the long relationship between French writers, French poets, and India. So yes, Mr. Macron coming to India cements that relationship. And yes, I do hope as a Frenchman that.
But do you mind what is the particular hallmark of the relationship that has grown in the last 1 year or so between President Macron and Prime Minister Modi?
Well, some of it is open, some of it we can only guess. I guess there is also, a hidden security relationship between France and India. They face some of the same problems. And so there must be between Mr. Ajit Doval and the French National Security Advisor also a very close relationship. I'm personally a very a great admirer and a friend of Mr. Ajit Doval.
Okay.
He has a brilliant mind, and I think so. There is also a French, Indo-French security partnership, which is very important in Asia.
Yes.
We must say something about China here because.
Okay, Francois, let's central our discussion as far as the Republic Day celebrations are concerned, and what does it really do to the ties also. I'm going to quickly take that point to Swasti also because she's a keen follower of foreign policy, especially India and Europe. Swasti, to your mind, the personal rapport between the two leaders and how that will now translate between the two governments, the ties, the timings of this when you have Russia, Ukraine still simmering and Gaza as well. The respective positions that they have taken so far.
Oh yes, absolutely, Sakal, and that is the beauty of India-France relations. If you notice carefully, of course, there is so much said about how trustworthy France has been, how the relationship is rooted in mutual trust, etc. How France has gone out of its way to stand by India with respect to the decisions that it had taken from India, whether it was 1998 and ever since, whether it's the inclusion of India into different regimes like the MTCR, etc., or whether it's pushing India's cause at the United Nations Security Council permanent membership. So, I think there is a lot said about that. But you mentioned the simmering Russia-Ukraine situation. You mentioned the situation in Gaza. And let's also remember there's also a very problematic situation which is emerging in the Red Sea because as a spillover of the Gaza effect. Now, just to give it all a perspective, let's understand that at the core of India and France's relationship and the friendship that you see, and also between the two leaders. See, defense-industrial relation was always there even before Prime Minister Modi came to power or President Macron came to power, right? That has only gotten a few notches up. But when you look at it in a broader perspective of what is France's and India's position as far as the global situation is concerned, both these countries believe in strategic autonomy, and both these countries believe that a multipolar world is a world which is a safer world. So in whatever their respective security theaters are, I mean, France is from the European theater, India is in the Indo-Pacific theater, France is a resident Indo-Pacific power. There are so many permutation combinations. But the larger perspective that defines as to what really their actions or their mutual actions would be, that you have to remember that they are going to push a third way forward for the world, which seems to be caught up in the US-China great power contestation. So if you look at the French Indo-Pacific strategy, and I think that's the beauty of it, they talk about giving a third way, right, which is based on development, which is based on securing the sea lanes of communication, which is on upholding a rules-based order, etc. And there in India is key. So it is not just the Rafales and the Rafale Marines and the aviation engines. All of that is wonderful. I mean, I can just go on talking about that. That's precisely what I work, because I work on in an MOD think tank, and I work on India-Europe relations. So that is a very important part of my work. So I can just go on telling you about how wonderful those deals are. But I think the distinct flavor comes from the fact that both France and India believe that multipolarity, a multipolar world, is a safer world.
Madhuri ma'am, since we are talking about the defense space and here particularly, the theme, Atmanirbharta, self-reliance in the defense domain, the indigenization narrative, we saw the might on display. Would you like to come in here?
Yeah,
the larger message.
I thought this was very important, especially when, we've just heard about the going beyond the Rafael and this, because we showcased our indigenous these things, whether in the presidency of G20, where we've all, and when she talked of this multipolarity being a safe world, I mean, look at the theme that we had even for the G20, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And that we are, whether it was the Ayodhya, we were sort of being the Vishwa Guru, and that we've arrived. It is not just showcasing the women power, but it was the technology that we showcased, whether it was Chandrayaan. I mean, we've reached the moon. We are ready to reach the sun and orbit around it. So it's an advancement of our technology, which we showcase, and in every field. So I thought that was very, very important. And like I right at the beginning said, the mother of democracy. Democracy, we stand for. We're the strongest democracy today, the largest democracy. And in that, the safe polarity and this, we represent it in full force. And that is what really brought out from our parade, that we are ready to talk about it, we are ready to show it, showcase it, and bring it with come with a full strength. We are no more talking about it as a wish list. We're talking of it that we have arrived and we're there to participate and lead the world in a number of these issues.
Yes.
Especially where it's our cultural strength.
Yes. Lieutenant General Kanetkar, in the capacity of the Deputy Chief of Integrated Defence Staff, you have actually been there, seen it all. I'm talking about the Republic Day Parade. If you could just take through what it all takes, the legacy, the journey, showcasing of all that, and today, the feeling that one gets that, look at this, India has come such a long way, and during those 2-3 hours, the story is right there in front of you. How do you,
like
not really comparison, but the change, the difference?
It was so beautiful, because having, sat on Kartavya Path and watched it live, and today not missing a single moment of it on Doordarshan, it was still being part of it. And particularly so because this time the Army Medical Corps had an all-women's, and it the contingent which marched so smartly. My dear nursing friends, nursing officers and girls who were so smart, and having had been there, and at a time where I still remember going years back when we were, doing our basic course, and it was sort of, very few women and physical fitness standards, not yet in this. I mean, it's a long journey. And it was
but
wonderful
you have yourself,
Lieutenant
General Kanetkar, you have yourself broken many glass ceilings when you were in service.
Yes.
So today, how do you feel?
But that, breaking a glass ceiling, it's like, okay, one of an event. But when it's being followed up with large number of women breaking and just blasting the ceiling, I think that is a moment of pride and pleasure.
Okay. Francois, would you like to come in here? India's rising India's story, India's shining story on display. Your thoughts? I'm sure you want to also reflect upon the long trajectory of relationship, the last 25 years of India-France, and the next maybe 10 or 25 years that we are looking at, okay, let's say another decade.
Yeah, I'm a political journalist, I'm a pragmatic man, I'm a Frenchman. So yes, so this is also beautiful, but Mr. Macron is also a pragmatic person. I think after COVID, there was a there was a rethinking both in France and in the entire West, especially France, the United States, about the position of India as an alternative to China, economic. So let's say economic for the moment, economic alternative to China, and the West would like to, relocalize some of its investment into India, because India is a democracy, as you said rightly, and this showed that it's a vibrant democracy. So the French would like to invest more economically into India, and they think that India is also a kind of a buffer in Asia against the Chinese thirst for hegemony. So I think Mr. Macron came here because of that, not only to sell French products, but also because he thinks that India as a democracy is a buffer in Asia for the free world, for the free world. And I think when Mr. Trump comes back, and it looks like Mr. Trump going to come back, he'll have the same reasoning that India needs to be wood because it is an economic land of investment and also a democratic and military and nuclear buffer. So this is very important.
Brand India, Swasti, your thoughts?
Yes, brand India very important because see, of course, I mean, what we saw today is a shining example of why the brand India has become such a reliable one, right? Both for the East and the West and North and the South. So we have done so many discussions on how India is the voice of the global South, how India is really the dependable player when it comes to talking about mediation. When the Prime Minister says it's not the era of war, everybody listens. Why the Indian economic success story, when at a time when the global economy is not doing well, has been of keen interest to so many in the world. So I think we can just go on talking about how the brand India has really proved its authenticity. As far as, I mean, putting it into perspective of the Republic Day celebrations and Macron coming, let's remember that, even in Europe, I think France is really taking on this responsibility of, I mean, we don't have the time to get into the details of it, but, France's defense industry production is an all-time high because of Ukraine, etc. So we are perhaps seeing, an opinion which is getting formed now in Europe, which is that perhaps with the Trump comeback, Europe would be left to fend for its own security. And what we can deduce from there for our purpose, from the perspective of India, is that that would be a more strategically autonomous Europe, where, of course, France is going to lead. Right. And then if you look at carefully what is going on domestically in Macron's political life, I would say, he has already nominated a successor. He has a new prime minister there, Gabriel Attal. He's a very young guy. And perhaps in 2027, Gabriel Attal is going to contest for the next presidential elections. So Macron is also now putting together a legacy. There are lots of things he's doing. And in that legacy, you see, if you look at the foreign policy aspect of that legacy, you see that deepening ties with India is very, very important.
I wanted to understand this from you. I'm sorry, I'm cut. You just, we've seen specifically President Macron investing a lot of time and energy. And their personal rapport, Prime Minister Modi and President Macron. I mean, I think that's very loud and clear. And it's just a glimpse of things for the future to come.
Oh yes, Sakal. And I also wanted to add, I think, to what Mr. Gautier had just said, that let's remember that when the two leaders had met in July in 2023 at the Bastille Day celebrations, I mean, we had extensive discussions on that as well.
Yes.
And the two sides had signed the Horizon 2047 document. And if you were to click on the MEA website and look at what the Horizon 2047 document is all about, you would see this great cooperation matrix that the two leaders have put together, where they don't only talk about the star performer, the defense industry cooperation, civil nuclear cooperation, Indo-Pacific, but also a whole host of things that is going to lead this relationship to the next 25 years. So document 2047, Horizon 2047, in that sense, is a very, very major vantage point if you want to understand how the two countries are investing into each other, right? For example, I'll just tell you that it's it's not just about the bilateral ties. When I say that a multipolar world is a safer world, I must tell you, and through your platform to the viewers, that both India and France are interested in a lot of developmental projects. So they have put together a unique model of triangular development cooperation fund for the Indo-Pacific, where these two countries are going to be collaborating in terms of sustainable development goals, etc., in third countries. So this is just to tell you that a lot of people would think of France and only think of Rafales and only think of the civil nuclear cooperation or space. Of course, that's another very futuristic dimension. But also these two countries are very committed to the sustainable development goals, to green energy, clean energy, and all of that. And just before I conclude, I think it is important that the two leaders also seem to be, aware of the fact that perhaps our bilateral trade is not can be improved. So right now it is standing at an all-time high, about $13 billion. But if you see the contingent that has come with Macron, I think the will is very clear that we need to take the bilateral trade also to the next level. And just last but not the least, there are three kinds of connections between two countries in the world: the G2G, the B2B, and the P2P. If you look carefully, the G2G is rocking when it comes to India, France. They are already working on the B2B, which is business to business. And I think the last component is P2P, where Emmanuel Macron is very, very committed. The people-to-people contact.
Yes. When I asked you the
I'd like
question,
to add something if it's possible.
Yes, please go ahead. Yes, both of you. I could see Lieutenant General Kanatkar also wanted to. Yes, Francois, please go ahead.
Our friend was talking about environment and sustainability. Now, Mr. Macron knows, and I believe Mr. Modi talked when he was in France for the Bastille Day to Mr. Macron about Auroville, where there are about 1,000 French people. Auroville is an international city near Pondicherry, which is based on Sri Aurobindo's vision and was started by a French woman, the mother. And there's a lot of research on ecology, on sustainability, on wind power, on recycling. So Auroville has planted about 3 million trees, making of a Bear Place the greenest place in the plains of Tamil Nadu. And I think Mr. Macron again spoke this time to Mr. Modi. There are some problems here at the moment in Auroville, and Mr. Macron must have touched a word to Mr. Modi about that. So there's a large community of French people in India, not only in Delhi, but also in Auroville, where they are working very hard on new models of sustainability.
Okay, fantastic. Lieutenant General Kanatkar.
Yeah, I wanted to bring in another aspect where India is sort of arrived from a position of strength is a human resource. We have one of the youngest population in the world today, which is a huge resource, and with the vision that India has of skilling them and empowering them, I think this is going to be the biggest resource which most countries, and therefore I'm sure even France would gain from it. And I'm very happy that they touched upon these sustainable developmental goals. India is totally committed and invested in a big way to whether it's clean energy. And it's not just that because it's of, the talk of today. If you look at our cultural heritage, the reuse, recycle, or living with nature, this has been a part of the Indian culture. So for taking it forward and finding new ways through science and technology, joining up technology with culture and added to that the spiritual angle, the three combination, whereas we speak, we have a strong indigenous defense sector which is now developing. We also have the other strengths. And that is what I think was showcased in this parade, and that is what the country is ready with.
Quickly, your thoughts on India's international standing, Vishwaguru Bharat, the narrative of that, and Republic Day. There's a lot of symbolism every year attached to it. This year,
absolutely. In fact, this is exactly what this thing that when you talk of a Vishwaguru, you're talking of something that we have to offer, we have to teach, we have ways which are there, which is a way of life. So that whether cultural, religious, spiritual, the living together in harmony, the unity and diversity, and the basic things of what we are, the climate change, the global warming, when you look at today, we are finding out newer methods. I think it was very nicely pointed out that COVID has taught us even more things. I mean, our simple thing of namaste and our basic things of, when you, of cleaning, washing hands, or whatever simple ways, which is that we don't need to go to very high-end technology. But I think it's the simple things in life which also India has to. When it comes to medical tourism, I
Okay.
mean, we have the largest healthcare force which we are working for, and with aging populations. So there's a huge amount that India can give. And this probably was like when they call it a jhanki, when our floats go by, when we put a parade,
Yeah.
it shows a small portion of it. But that's just the tip of the
Tip
iceberg.
of an
We have a
iceberg.
lot more to give. And I
Yes.
think that's what was absolutely visible in this Republic Day.
Okay, the symbolism and the larger message that has gone today, or not just confining to the celebrations, but as I just mentioned that although the parade has concluded, but the celebrations continue. Swasti, your final word.
Well, my final words is that okay, so my final words, they're interesting because I think everything that can be said about not just the India-France bonhomie, but also the bromance between Modi and Macron has already been said. I wish them good luck. And I am genuinely happy that here is a relationship, a bilateral relationship, which does not only, capitalize on the past glory that it has had, but it also comes with a very well-analyzed, futuristic map to actually take the relationship forward in another 25 years. So I think that would be my final thoughts, that it is rooted in a glorious past, but looking at a brighter future.
Yes, I also wanted to have your thoughts. In fact, you and Francois both, there's a lot of conversation of strategic autonomy.
Yes.
That's being talked particularly between India and France, and how these two nations will manage to maintain their respective positions on many issues where they are common denominators, but they are looking at different sides.
Oh, yes. I'd just like to sort of clarify that that strong mooring in towards multipolarity or in strategic autonomy will remain, but of course. But at the same time, I think because we are living in a very uncertain world, and I was telling you that the world is also becoming increasingly dangerous, I think both the countries will need to firmly respond to these winds of change. And today's global order, which is quite molten because, there are so many shifts going on, this will not only be shaped by capabilities and common stakes, but also by a shared vision, which will be rooted in realism. And that shared vision is going to be larger than the sum of its parts.
Okay.
So I think when it comes to strategic autonomy, both the countries understand that in a changed environment. I can give you a very good example about France. You may have heard of the US-UK combined strikes against the Houthis, in the Red Sea, and France, being a NATO ally and a G7 member, chose to stay out of it. And so that's the French strategic autonomy. But having said that, if tomorrow there comes a situation where a US under Trump would like to withdraw or pull out, from such things, I think France would also have the independence to then think about what to do for it. So strategic autonomy is an enabling framework for France. I think that is something that we need to understand. And similarly, when it comes to India, it is an enabling framework too.
And since we have a very distinguished French journalist who has extensively written about the relationship between the two countries, Francois, I think it's going to be befitting to end with your thoughts. I need to wrap up the show, but with your thoughts, please.
Yes, of course, once President Macron goes away, things tend to, settle down and the intensity becomes less. But I think both countries need to make an effort. France needs to be, more steady in their investment in India, both at every level, economic, culture, etc. I think as a Frenchman living in India, though I'm an OCI married to an Indian, I think India needs to liberalize more its economy because it's still difficult to invest in India. There are so many rules from state to state, from the center state. So there is a need, like China did, liberalize the economy.
Yeah.
So I think both countries need to make an effort. And if they do make that effort, then of course France will become a major economic partner, which it isn't yet.
All right. All right. Well, on that note, thank you very much, Francois Gauthier, French journalist, joining us on the show. With that, I also thank Swasti Rao, foreign policy strategic affairs expert, and also many, many thanks. Thank you, Swasti, and many, many thanks, Lieutenant General Madhuri Kanitkar, for joining us on this show. Thank you, viewers. We continue with our special broadcast after a short breather. News and updates continue on DD India. Stay with us.
As India